This is Batman. You're watching Kyle Reviewed.
Hey guys, just finished watching The Flash, Season 6, Episode 1, Into the Void. So this episode was interesting. Now, we deal with a lot of stuff going on. We got, we got a few characters. We got Ramsey Russo. We got some, teleportation and black hole guy and stuff. And these storylines are quite interesting. They're okay, but they're just not the Crisis. And it wasn't, I was under the impression that they were going to focus entirely on Crisis and stuff. And we have this storyline with Caitlin and Russo, who's trying to cure cancer by using black matter and potentially turning himself into a villain and all that stuff with black matter. And then we got this Chase guy who could create black holes. Now the Chase guy could be quite interesting. Setting him up for the Crisis. He could be somewhat useful later on down the road. But this Russo guy, he seems kind of like, it seems like they're setting up him as a separate storyline from the Crisis. So you have your Crisis storyline that they're going to be talking about, which will be the main storyline of the season, and then you have a secondary storyline of Russo and them dealing with him, trying to fight him off, right? Which is okay, but it's like, why use him? It seems like it's not going to connect to the Crisis. Now, they might connect it later on at the end and stuff, but that just feels kind of weak, and kind of the connection is not as good as it would be as if we knew from the start, and if it was from the start written to connect to Crisis, instead of, let's just write this storyline and then we'll connect it at the end later on. If they wrote it to connection right away, then it would be much more, we wouldn't feel like we're watching a filler episode. And this episode is okay, but it just feels like, it feels like you, at the end of the episode, you only need to watch the end of the episode when the monitor shows up to tell Barry, you're going to die in the Crisis, and that's it. The rest of this season, the rest of this episode is not really important. I mean, maybe this portal guy will come back and be useful there, but all you need to know is he can make portals. He can make himself, he can make portals and stuff. So that's all you really need to know going into it. It seems like this episode, the first episode, is filler, which is kind of disappointing. And then you have the next episode, which looks like it's very deep into the kicking off the Crisis, right? With him jumping into the future to after his Crisis. I think what they should have done is started this episode with the monitor showing up, telling him you're gonna die, and do that right away, and do this storyline right away, type thing of them dealing with, what are we gonna do with, and all that stuff. I think that'd be much more interesting. Now, if they wanted to have another season, like a season-long villain that they could play with throughout the season, that as like a filler, a different storyline that's kind of separate but yet filler, they should have used the Psycho Pirate, because you have the Psycho Pirate who's connected to the Crisis, and we all know from the comics that he's very much important to that. So you could have him connected, and you don't have to have it super connected there, but you just, by having him, anyone who knows anything about the Crisis would know, he's going to be involved in the Crisis, right? So there's your connection there, and then you just have him from the shadows manipulating people, because if not mistaken, Psycho Pirate's power is to manipulate emotion. So I think that would be much more, it'd be very interesting to see him as a season-long villain, building up to Crisis, and you have the Anti-Monitor kind of watching him, how to, and studying how he's using his powers to manipulate people and do different stuff, right? I think that could be really quite interesting with that, and playing with him throughout the season, turning him into a season-long storyline. And if you build him up as a super powerful, villain who can control people's emotion, and then all of a sudden you have the Anti-Monitor, and you have the Crisis going on, and you make him see like the smallest piece in that puzzle, I think that could be really interesting in the storyline to play with. He's built up to be this bigger thing, and then you see how, in scale to everyone else, to the Anti-Monitor and the Crisis, he's just a little blip, it's a little nobody. So I think that could be something interesting, and that's the way I would have done, is kind of have that second storyline, that filler storyline that they're trying to do, be a different, be the Psycho Pirate and somewhat connected to the Crisis. Whereas here it feels like it's not connected, and we'll have to wait and see as to where it's going to go. But if it does connect, it's going to be a very weak connection compared to if they had used the Psycho Pirate. Now, I think it's better for them to do this, having the Crisis storyline, and having this Ramsey storyline, having these two storylines is kind of interesting, a good idea, just because it allows them to go back and forth in either storyline without having to do filler episodes or just, this new random villain just shows up in Central City, someone who got powers back from the particle accelerator but has, only come back now type thing. That's just kind of, those episodes are kind of terrible and kind of annoying, but this is a little bit better than that, but still, like, this Crisis should be the full-on storyline. Should just be Crisis every single episode and the same, and follow and keep pushing into that and do no filler episodes and stuff. So, because I'm getting tired of these filler episodes. They're just driving me crazy and just annoying. And even this episode, like I said, it feels like you don't need to watch it. You just need to watch the end of the episode. You need to know that one of these guys has, Chase has, he could create black holes, and the monitor came to tell Barry that he's going to die in the Crisis. That's all it seems like we need from this episode, in order to follow the rest of the season with the Crisis. But you got this Ramsey storyline, which could be interesting. We'll see what his powers are. Maybe his powers are going to be, directly related to Crisis. Which it doesn't seem like it. They should have done a better job as to kind of set him up to show us that he's going to be connected to the Crisis, whereas right now it feels like, you got this Crisis storyline, then you have him just going off completely there, not related. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things kind of go with this. I just wish it was a lot more connected to the Crisis. So we do deal a lot with the XS costume, and we're still dealing with Barry and Iris dealing with the loss of XS and stuff, or their daughter Nora Allen and stuff. So I think that's really cool. That's really going to be fun to play with that. We also get Cisco using the Flash song by Queen, the Flash Savior of the Universe. So I think that's really an interesting idea, the way they used it. But I just feel like there could have been a better place to use that song. He's like, I used, Barry's running into a black hole. There's no better time to use this song, which is like, no, he's dealt with black holes before. He dealt with one back in season 2, beginning of season 2, when Firestorm had to go up and separate to stop the black hole. It's just kind of like, he's dealt with this before, and I would have done is saved this song. It feels like they just got the rights and the okay to use the Flash song now, so they just put it in right away. Whereas I would have saved this Queen song for the Crisis crossover whenever Barry's going to die. Now that they've told us that he's going to die in the Crisis, I would save that for that point there, when Flash saves the day in the Crisis or something like that. I think that's when I would have used that song there. So I think they could have found a better moment for that song instead of just the beginning of the first episode, because being the first episode, it's like, of course he's going to make it through this. There's no kind of weight to him. There was no kind of weight to him jumping into this portal, this black hole. There was no kind of tension. It's like, is he going to survive or not? Well, of course he's going to survive. We got the Crisis coming up, and this is the first episode of the season. He's not going to be, he's not going to die in there. There was the whole thing maybe he goes into that portal and gets lost in the portal, and that's part of where things kick off. That's part of setting up the Crisis and stuff. He goes in there, and that's where things happen, and the Crisis starts happening, or he finds out that the Crisis is starting to slowly start. But it wasn't. He just came back out. So there was still kind of maybe he's lost there for a couple of episodes, but we'll have to wait and see as to where the thing goes. But he just jumps out, and there's no weight to that jump in there. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things kind of go with all this. It seems like they're setting up other storylines other than the Crisis, and that pisses me off. They need to focus 100% on the Crisis, and that's what they had said. And they even tease it at the end that they're going to have Crisis as a storyline, but yet they don't 100% focus on it. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things kind of go. Also have to wait and see as to how things go on Arrow type thing, especially since they only have 10 episodes. Hopefully with the way things ended there, that can be full on focusing on the Crisis instead of having their own storyline. But the Flash, should be someone that should be teased and set up. Maybe see him going from Earth to Earth, starting to recruit a team to fight in the Crisis. before we actually get there, so that when the Crisis crossover happens, he already built up his team. That's the way I would have done it, and I think that'd be really cool. That way you don't have to establish, Smallville and all these other things, characters coming back. You've already established them throughout the season, and then you have 5 episodes of everyone in it already established from the get-go going on. But that doesn't seem like the way they're doing that. We'll have to wait and see as to where things kind of go. But it would be cool to get teasers and tidbits and stuff, of setting up the Crisis, full throttle. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. What are you thinking about this Ramsey storyline? Do you think it's going to be connected? I haven't heard of the character from the comic books or anything like that, and I've been listening to the Crisis on Infinite Earth audiobook. It's the Graphic Audio. That's a great thing. Definitely recommend listening to that. And they go into detail. They go into really long detail about the whole. It's pretty much just an audio book, but with different actors for each voice characters and some audio sounds and stuff like that. So it's very well done. And, that character is not in the Crisis at all. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things go, but I hope that they focus 100% on Crisis for the rest of this season. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Hi, this is Kevin Conroy, talking to you from the library of Wayne Manor. You may know me as Batman. I just want you to know that you're watching Kyle Reviewed. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.